Hello and welcome to another Bodgit and Leggit video. I was asked to do a video on compressors and air tools. Now this is a very tricky subject because no matter what I say, there's always going to be people saying, no, you're wrong, this is what I do, blah blah blah. I'm speaking from my experience and a lot of other people's experience. The compressor I'm using is a 200 litre, 3 horsepower compressor that runs off electricity. So now that is, for someone like me, to be honest, I could really do with a 400 litre compressor. The 3 horsepower motor, that's okay, but I could just really do with maybe a slightly bigger tank. But I mean, it is okay for me, but you know, the odd time it just, if you're using it a lot, it does kind of turn on. Now as regards air tools, and especially air guns, air ratchets, rattle guns, whatever you want to call them, this is the most important thing you're going to use. And no matter what anybody says, I don't care what anybody says, if you want a decent one, well, you have to spend money. One of these at 50 quid, I can tell you here and now it's going to be no good. Now, I don't mean a second-hand one, I mean a brand new one. If someone's selling a really good one for 50 quid, well then yes. I'm talking about brand new. I can't give you the prices everywhere around the world, I only know what the prices are in Ireland. And for a decent gun, you are having to spend about 300 euros. Anything really under that isn't going to get you a very powerful gun. Now I know I'm going to get people saying, well, I bought a £200 gun and it worked fine for me. Yes, maybe it did. But I guarantee you, if you use that gun every single day and on different cars, it won't be enough. So I'm going to get so many comments here saying I'm wrong. I bought a gun for 50 quid and blah 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 blah. I'm telling you here and now, if you want a decent gun, you're going to have to spend the guts of about 300 quid. I have seen this is a half-inch gun, by the way. I have seen 3/8 and inch guns, not 3/8, 3/4 and inch guns at 200 quid. And these guns are like this big. And you think, oh, that's great. But they're not as powerful as this. And that's the key. You can get a guy came here a few months ago wanting to try and sell me a big, huge inch gun. And it was only like 1,400 foot-pounds of torque. This is like 1,200 foot-pounds of torque. So it was only a little bit more powerful than this, and yet it was an inch drive. This is only a half-inch drive. Now it is important, you need your reverse, it's your reverse gear that is the most powerful. And you have to be careful about screwing bolts in because you can snap them. But it's your reverse gear, you need to whip them out. I can't remember off the top of my head, but this is around 1,200. This other gun's slightly lower, but it's still over 1,000 foot-pounds of torque. For you to get a gun that's over 1,000 foot-pounds of torque, you have to be spending about 300 quid in Ireland. I don't know what it is everywhere else. The UK, like everything, is always cheaper in the UK, so you might be able to get one the equivalent of 250 euros, 200 euros, I don't know. America, again, I just don't know. There's lots and lots of different makes. I'm not going to go through all the different makes because it's a minefield. But you've got the obvious ones, Ingleston and Ram, they do very good air tools. I've got a couple of Ingleston and Ram air tools. Snap-on and all sort of stuff like that, yeah, they're brilliant. But what Snap-on and most they tend to do is buy a really good quality one and rebrand it. That's what a lot of the companies do. So even though it might say Snap-on on, I don't know if it's necessarily made by Snap-on. But it will still be a very good gun. Now, don't get me wrong, I've also got, which I've featured on my channel, I've also got this, which was from Lidl's. It's got a big crack in it. Now this was like 15 euros, I think. It was very cheap. But this doesn't need to be 1,200 foot-pounds of torque. This is just basically an air chisel. And believe me, something like that, yes, you don't need to spend a fortune on. But your main air gun, you need to spend money on. Something like this, I've used this on countless times. And as you can see, there's a big crack in it, it's still used, I drop it, do all sorts. This has never let me down, this is brilliant. For the price of it, you cannot go wrong. But then I've also brought an air gun from Lidl's or Aldi's, and it was 20 quid, and it just didn't have a lot of power. This is an impact driver, so in other words, This, as I press the trigger, it won't spin it. It kind of vibrates to spin the bolt off. It doesn't make my hands spin. Where this one isn't an impact. If there's a bolt that this can't undo, this lifts up like that. So you have to be, again, you have to know which one you're buying. This is an Ingleston and Ram. Very good one. This is an MJ or an M, can't remember the name of this. Can't remember the name of this, but anyway, this one, I remember the name of this one, it's written right across it. Now, this isn't very powerful, and it's not meant to be very powerful. It is one of the most powerfulest ones I've ever used of this particular type, but it is not nowhere near as powerful as these. But like I said, it's not designed to. What this is really designed to, if you've got a few bolts you have to loosen with a big bar, this will zip them all off a lot quicker than you can do with the ratchet. So things like this, you're never going to get these up over 1,000 torque. You don't need them to be. But I can't remember what this one is off the top of my head. It might even say on here, which it doesn't do. But it is, for what it is a very powerful one. But if this was too powerful, what would happen is the bolt wouldn't move in your hands and you would literally snap your wrists. So believe me, you don't want this powerful. I then have an assaultment. I have loads of air tools. I'm only going through a few with you because obviously I've got air tools to do brakes. I've got air tools that open up CD boots. There's no point going through all of them. I have a 3/8 drive. Now this thing is absolutely brilliant. It's a PLC. Again, it's another good one. I think this was around €150, so not like, you know, really expensive like the other ones, but still not cheap either. I don't know the torque on this one, but again, these aren't designed to be absolutely mega strong. They're just allow you to zip the bolts off. And then we have the smallest one I have physically in size. This is the 1/4. Again, really another good make. I don't use this a lot, to be fair, but again, brilliant. I mean, air tools. I get a lot of stick for using air tools in my videos, but I mean, if you're doing a job and it's going to take you, let's just say 15 minutes to take out 4 bolts, you get an air tool out, it takes you 5 minutes. Well, there's just no, especially when you've got everything, I might as well use it. If I didn't have the stuff, fair enough. Air tools are expensive though, do you know, so do bear that in mind. What else have I got here? I've got a little air grinder. Again, this is a Worth one. But this is just rebranded from another make, but again, really good. Now again, to be fair, you actually don't need to spend a fortune on something like this, because you don't need it to be absolutely massively powerful. So there's a few air tools you can actually save on. And then one of the last other things I have is an air gun. Now this is a top loader, so the paint comes from the top. This is DeVelbus. All my spray guns are DeVelbus. I like DeVelbus, they're absolutely brilliant in my opinion. So there we go. But one thing I will say, if you are going to buy an air gun, do not buy a cheap one. If you get a second-hand one, all well and good. A good second-hand one, half the price, no worries about that. But if you're going to buy one of these, for €150, I'm telling you now, it is going to be absolutely pointless, because it's just not going to be very good. You might as well save your money, buy a decent one. Like I have said, you can kind of scrimp and save on other particular ones. I know you can spend €200 on one of these, depending on the make you get. This at €15 has never let me down. And even if it breaks, it's €15. I've had it for 4 or 5 years now, I've never had a problem if it breaks. They always have them there, I just go and get another one at 15 quid. Not a big deal. So when it comes to air tools, just bear in mind you buy the right stuff. Another thing to remember, if you're using air tools on any air ratchet, even if you buy Snap-on, Fatcom, Blue Point, no matter which ones you buy, if you don't get the right sockets for using an air gun and they break, they will not cover it. So for example, this one is a Trident socket, which is again, lifetime's guarantee on it. But if I put this on an air gun and it snaps, they won't replace it for me for free. And they can tell if it's been used on an air gun. It is easy to see if a socket's been used on an air gun. So this is an 8mm Allen key. Again, it's not an air Allen key. You can buy air Allen keys. This one is just a normal one. If you use this on an air tool and it breaks, you will not get it covered. This is a, well, they've rebranded this, but this is basically, this is an air socket. Normally they are black rather than silver. They're a hell of a lot thicker, and they are designed to be used with an air gun, so they're a lot stronger, they don't break. They can still break, but if you break one of these, and you, depending on which model you have, you buy the good one, you will get it replaced for you for free. You use ordinary sockets, ordinary stuff on an air gun, and it snaps, you won't get your guarantee, so also remember that. So if you have a really good quality air gun, well then you need really good quality air gun tools to go along with that. This is why it gets very, very expensive. This is why sometimes it's maybe just best to get a really decent socket set and a ratchet, because to start using air tools you need compressors, you need air guns, you need different sockets, and before you know it, it can get very, very, very expensive. And if you go down the route of buying cheaper stuff, you're only kicking yourself in the long run, because believe me, it is a waste of money. Now it is slightly different if you're not using them every day of the week, say like I would be. But if you buy a cheap one of these, it's always going to be underpowered. So it doesn't matter. Even if you put the biggest compressor on it, it's not the compressors that make these strong, it's the actual bits that's in them. The good ones have 6 or 7 veins in them, which makes them very powerful. The cheaper ones might only have 2 or 3 veins. So it's like, the only way I can describe it is if you've got, imagine this is a 3-cylinder engine in the cheap ones, and it's a 12-cylinder engine in the good ones. You know, it's going to have more power, it's going to have more guns, but you pay for it. But the other thing is, once you get a good one of these, if you look after it and make sure you oil it, you won't have a problem with it. That's another thing. So, you know, I know I'm going to get a lot of comments on this video. I hope it helps explaining slight bits about air tools. Save your money, buy good stuff, because it will last you forever. So look, I hope it helps. Thumbs up and subscribe, and we get your hands dirty. See you for the next